What's good?
What's going on, Herman? I don't know if it's me or you or me. I'm having some sound problem. Oh, there you go. Okay, I got you.
All right, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, that's awesome, man. I want to welcome you to the show. We've had an opportunity to talk. I want to welcome everybody who also is joining this live broadcast. Uh, it's after another Lions loss, man. I know that gets to be a little challenging and gets to be a little much, but that's what we do here. More after the game. For those of you that want to learn a little bit more about my thoughts post game, feel free to jump in here after our games. I know I'm going to try and go live both after the games, but also we're going to be looking at Mondays after the press conferences, because I think that gives us the ability to get a little bit more insight as to after Coach Campbell speaks and we understand more of what he's looking to do, where do we as fans, as those who have some type of a care around this team, what are our thoughts and where do we see this as going next? So I want to welcome you, man, to the show. Welcome you for joining, as always.
First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity, especially to talk Lions, because this is exactly what I love to do. So this game.
So go ahead and let that air out your chest, man. Go ahead and let me know. Just give me the pulse, being that you are an avid follower of this team. You cover this team on your show. You cover this team with your emotions, your money, your time. So I want to hear from you, and I'm gonna sit back and take it all in. I just want to see, what are you feeling after this game against Chicago, and also this team being 0-4.
Since we've had a day to kind of cool off, yesterday a lot of emotions flying around the fan base, including myself. I was one of the main people to preach to the fan base that, this season is a rebuilding season. We don't really have the talent necessary to really go out and win a lot of games. So that plus injuries, plus, us having a lot of young guys and young talent on this team, it's just not going to flip over the way us fans want it to. So, we're going to have these problems, the inconsistencies, blown coverages here on the defense, so it's something that we just have to, I don't want to say accept, but I have to. We're just going to have to accept it, because the reality of it is, we have a solid coaching staff so far. Even though I got a question for you after I finish talking, even though some of the fan base may feel different, we knew what was coming this season. At least, people like myself that really follow this team and that's really buying into what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell is trying to build here, or retool, or, whatever you want to call it. We have some steps to take, and we're just getting started. So the game yesterday, the emotions were not the fact that we're rebuilding. The emotions from the game yesterday was the fact that they really stunk it up. They stunk it up in the first half. And, I feel like, as a fan, we want to see more consistency. But I wanted to see better play from some of the guys we did have out there. I feel like we do have some talent, especially in the offensive end. You don't go to the red zone that many times and don't put up points, in the first half. It's going to come back.
But here's a question though for you. All right, let's dial it back just for a second, right? So there's things that you're expecting for this team. Right. There's certain play and levels of play that fans are expecting from a team that they already are saying, hey, I don't have these expectations. So how do you balance that? How do you have the balance to say they're going to make the mistakes, they're going to blow the coverage, they're going to have some of the fundamental problems that occur, and the fact that they're not going to field with the most talented team out there week in and week out? How do you temper yourself as a fan, and how do you temper yourself to get geared up for that, though?
It's really not easy at all. It's not, because, like I said, you're a fan. You want to see a team win, especially against the Bears. You want to see them win against the Bears. You feel like, you go in feeling, truthfully, you yourself and me and a few other content creators we all felt like the Lions had a legit chance to win this game. But then you got to look at it from the fan side. It's like, okay, what am I watching? This is terrible. Like, come on, what are you doing? All of those emotions start. I believe it's the trauma for over the years, that plays a part in the way that us fans try to process it. So, like I said, trying to find a balance in between, having a football mind, but at the same time being a fan is just not easy for us right now. And those emotions come out. I went on a full-on rant on Twitter, and I had to dial it back. That's why I had to put that video out to, address the Lions Nation and say, listen, man, we gotta simmer down. We gotta calm down. We pushing this thing a little bit too hard. You got, which I'll just go ahead and put the question I had out for you. You got some of the fans calling for Dan Campbell's job already. Like, It's like, come on. Like,
right.
I mean, what do you think about that, Herman?
Well, that's premature. That it's too early for that. I think that's going to come from those who already have years and years and decades, perhaps, of pent up aggression and anger towards the organization. It's no way you can have that type of feeling about the current players, because many of these players, this is their first time playing. This is a team that has completely been torn apart, disassembled, and now they're trying to put it back together. You have a complete different coaching staff that I don't think after 4 weeks in to the regular season, you can say that this is a change that needs to take place at the helm. Again, given the fact, unless you're completely been tuned out and you haven't been a part of how this team has been constructed and rebuilt over the last year since the release of Matt Patricia, then it's no way you can feel like this team should be probably in a better spot than where they are right now. If anything, you weren't going to be judging them off of wins and losses. This team wasn't going to be judged based on them going to the postseason and having playoff opportunities this year. And I don't know necessarily we expected them to even compete in their division. So if you put all those together, how can you call for a coach to be fired? And if you're going to do that, I go, where do you say he has Coach Campbell has faltered? Where has he failed this team so far? And I would probably argue against it and say I think he's brought some calm. He's taken the chaos that was there prior to him getting here. He may not have the talent, but all the bickering, all the chaos, all the turmoil between coach and player is gone. So those are some things that are key to a foundation. So I want fans to, when I say temper down a little bit, you have to bring all those things into play. You can't just let your emotions run wild, right? And just all of a sudden be off and running. So I agree with you, man. I think you're coming with the right balance, and also, you're giving that peer advice, right, to the people of the nation to say, listen, man, everything Kane's sitting there, hey, he's coming here and he's spitting the knowledge to you, and he's saying, listen, calm down. And last week I had my shirt on. It says simmer down. Everybody simmer down. You know what I mean? Just simmer down just a little bit.
Yeah. And like I said, I know it's like I said, it's the trauma from the past. A lot of fans they spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of resources and money, and they want to go out there and see a winning product. But this year is more about step one of trying to build you something, and which is number one, establishing a culture. Trying to establish some type of culture is Dan Campbell's job right now, and getting the best out of these young guys that we have available. So like I said, we're going to see those growth pains with a lot of these players. You're going to have some blown coverages. You're going to have some some missed assignments, and it's just something that we just have to deal with right now because our schedule is absolutely brutal. It gets no easier. It gets no easier. So another thing I wanted to ask you, Herman, was how long do you think it'll take before the Lions actually do become good enough to consider being competitive as far as the playoffs?
That's a good question. And before I even answer that, I want to make sure I just welcome all those that are joining. Appreciate them jumping in. No, Miss J, Zoom, had a chance to speak to you. W3 Kings, want all of them to jump in. Forbidden Knowledge. So just want to give a couple shout outs to those that are jumping on the show. But, as far as the time, man, I think it's going to take definitely all of this season. I think it's also going to take a good part of next year. They're going to have to build this with players. And the confidence is going to come by knowing that you have a foundation of young talent. So think of it like this, man. King, think of it like this. So they have this young group. No one really knows who they are and where they're coming from. And Coach Campbell is saying, listen, think of it almost like this. I'm going to go through my scout team. I'm going to go through my backup and support players, and I'm going to strengthen that foundation because right now they're getting playing time, right? So as I bring in veteran players and I bring in other players who may be, coming into their prime that have breakouts, and you start to mix them in with a foundation that isn't already scared, that already understands the struggle, right? I saw a few of you out here said, you know what, the struggle is real, right? The struggle is real out there on that field because that's like saying, hey, dog, let's all get together. Let's go to a fight. We all know we've already get beat down, but they still gonna go to war with you. You know what I mean? So that's what he's building. So then all of a sudden when they go, hey, here goes some more arsenal and here's some more whatever to go, to go out there and, claim neighborhood, then all of a sudden you're ready to go. And
right.
So I see that with this team. I give them all of this year. I give them midway through next season to really start to really click. But they got to have the addition of people. The draft, free agency, not free agency, man. I don't want to. King, you tell me what you think about this. Because when people think about building teams, they always talk about you got to go get that veteran guy that's been there, done that. And, they got 2 more years left and they're going to help the young players come along and right? That record, man, has been broken.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, I want to get yours. I think you have to bring in a good mix of those that are coming into their primes. Like, I want to go find more DeAndre Swifts, right? I want to go find more of these younger players that have something to build into and have something to prove, that are hungry, and mix those in with a couple home run hitters, then you're good.
And that's exactly what we need as well, especially on the offensive end at least. That's exactly what we need. We need bring in some of them home run receivers, something like that. Or if they decide to go in the draft, that's fine, and get a receiver. That's fine. But like I said, we on the offensive end, bring in them home run receiver on the offense. And like I said, we got Swift, we got Williams, we got TJ Hawkinson. The offensive line is solid. Jared Goff at quarterback. Like I said, just building the defense, bringing some guys in on the defensive side of the ball, some home run guys on the defense. Right. Like I said, it just makes it better for everybody else. I've been one of the people that's been arguing about trenches, even before Patricia. I've been saying on the defensive side of the ball, at least, if you're getting pressure on that quarterback, if we're able to get some push up front, create some pressure, it's going to help everybody, including the young guys. So, linebacker, defensive end, those are the things I'm looking for as far as the draft. But, bringing some guys in to help out, speed up the process, man, that's a beautiful thing. That'll be a beautiful thing. Which I gotta hit you with this question because it's a little messy. It's not really messy.
We are the nation, man. We don't mind getting a little messy. Save myself up in my chair and get right. Let me get my neck on right there. Look at that. There you go.
Now, I just brought up the offense, and I promised that I said I'm not going to continue to do this. This will be my last time. I put a poll up on Twitter, and I asked the Lions Nation to grade the performance of Jared Goff so far.
Okay.
Right now, it's pretty much 43% C and F. Wow. What's your grade? What is your grade?
Wow. So I don't mind a tough one. Let me dial it a little bit. So with Jared Goff, I'm looking at these stats. I don't see where he's been atrocious. I don't see where he is someone I look at and go, okay, I'm going to basically say he is the reason. I'm looking at 105 rating for Chicago. He's been over that a couple times this year. He came into the game at a 93 rating, QB rating. He's had some games where he's had some overthrows. He's had some underthrows. He's working with young players and he's trying to get the rhythm that a lot of quarterbacks that you're comparing him with, he doesn't have a Devontae Adams. All right. I understand quarterbacks. Everybody looks at the Brady rule, meaning you can take a quarterback that can elevate the play of players. That's going to be a combination of the OC also dialing in the right plays and understanding what players they have, the quarterback understanding where the limitations lie, and then also how to maximize elevating that player so they're always in a position to at least be better in what they're doing. The third thing is he has a line. So I think there's got to be some patience at times to say, listen, I may be able to take a look downfield, but unless we see the whole, unless everyone who's going to grade Goff, you have to be able to see the whole field. Are the players getting open down the field? Where are the reads? Is he making the right read? So when I pull him apart, I can't do it off of emotion. I can't do it off of what I see on TV. Let's use a fourth down play. You have the pass to the left, 4th and 1, needing 2 scores. We went over this the other day. And a lot of people say, well, that was a terrible throw. Yeah, the throw could have been better. But the getting the receiver in a position to be better off the line, to make him be able to explode out of that break a little bit faster, and knowing that this was a tempo route that was thrown on, it's a timing route. So where do you place the blame? Is that a Goff? Is that a system? Or is that just coordination of saying, hey, we got to put it all the pieces together? Are they as good as is he as good as he can be? No. If you're asking me to give him a grade right now, yeah, I'd probably go C. I can feel that. I can get down with that. Do I think if he had a better group of players that could innovate and create separation right now, I think I can move him up to a B. But he is not without blame. You know, any player that walks away and says, you know what, I don't have any, I did everything right. You know what, you might want to get rid of that guy. Everybody can get better. So I think some of that's fair. On the F, come on, man. I think that's just a hater. Look, King, give me. So you put me on the thing, right? So I'm gonna give him a C, right now, and I think he may even be deserving of a C plus. And that's not being harsh. That's being, you know, he's gonna have to shoulder some of that blame, but he's not alone. It's not just him. Yeah. So where are you? Come on. Are you trying to give him a curve? How you
No,
rate?
I'm not going to fail the guy. I'm going to give him a C minus. That's where I personally, you know, like I said, I've had an opportunity to go back and watch a few clips here and there. So, you know, my grade definitely is around the C range. For the people that said F, is like, come on, it's a little harsh, you know, especially in this situation. This is also a totally new situation for him too. So, yeah, I'm definitely not going to go that far. But the reason why I asked that is because I had a couple of inboxes, and also I've seen some tweets. Now, I listen to 97.1 The Ticket here in the city, and Valenti was going on about if the Detroit Lions want to make some noise, they should go after Tua if Watson does go to Miami.
Already? Are we there already?
Like, really, you know? So, you know, I'm those type of things, you know, they pretty much were saying that the Lions need to be aggressive and go and find a new quarterback because Goff is not it. He's this, he's that. So I'm gonna stick at a C. But the right now, I'm hearing some crazy things out there. Some real crazy.
Tua thing, man. I'm not gonna go there with it. But I'll tell you what, man. Most people that are chiming in, we're seeing Alfred Robertson Jr. He's giving a C. We got W3 Kings. He's giving a C. You and I are in the C range. I think, like I said, when you start getting in a D or F, I think that's too questionable for me to where I don't even entertain that because I don't think he's there. Right. You look at where he ranks among the other quarterbacks. He's in the middle of the pack, and in some cases, he's even a little bit further down the list or further up, depending on the category. Everyone's probably frustrated. And I don't know if you're frustrated, and I wanted to get your chime on this, right? When they talk about Stafford, a lot of people are looking at Stafford, and then they're starting to question whether or not the right move was made there. All right, so you start talking about Tua. You start talking about going and get these other players. I don't have a problem if you say I'm looking for bringing in more players for depth. But when you start to say a starter who I mean, everything is not together just yet. We can't have it. We can't say on one end things aren't quite right, and then say things should be right. I mean, you that's just like, you can't do that. And those that look at it, you have to dial it back. I'd rather you pick one way or the other and say either I got the patience because I don't think this team is quite right and ready, versus start to individualize it. There's been some spotty play on defense. There's been some spotty play in the secondary. There's been some miscommunication. There's been some mishaps even at the line when we see that they get pressure and they get these other athletic linemen and guys that come off at the end. If they think they've seen it all, they haven't seen it all yet. And but what's going to happen? You get your butt kicked enough, you start to realize that you need to step it up, and you start to realize you don't have the right players. If nothing else, I'll say this, Kane, they're understanding what they have, what they don't have, what they need to work with, and what they need to get better with. You start to be able to check boxes. You start to be able to eliminate players because there are no big names other than Goff and a few others that you got contracts you go, I can't get rid of. Right. And because of that, man, you got to earn it every single week. Every single week, these players are going to have to earn their positions.
Yeah, definitely expendable. So definitely expendable.
So let me ask you this. Go ahead, because I got another question for you. But go ahead.
Go ahead with the question. I'm ready for it.
All right. So mine is this. So when you're sitting there and you're thinking, you're again one of those that I really appreciate you jumping on, and we've developed a really good relationship, and understand that you have your reach, you have your audience. We're creating Lions Nation Unite, and we're creating the nation, and we're trying to get people to understand how we all come together. But when you're looking for content, we always try and figure out what are those things that we want to discuss and the things that we want to talk about that are relevant, not just to our audience, but to you. When you see this team needs to have changes, right? Big or small. One, do you think there's issues already at the coaching position? That's just a quick question. Or do you think there could be some improvement in the coaching side of it? I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to just break them down in each department because I want to see what drives you to say, hey, this is something that's pressing and I want to discuss today.
Okay. Well, as far as the coaching staff, I'm going to be honest. I was one of the people that, when we got Dan Campbell, I was a little bit against it because I wanted somebody in here for, X's and O's, somebody who pretty much is a technician at, the X's and O's. But he grew on me like he did on a lot of people. And you start to see his leadership as far as the players. You start to see the culture start to change. So that's pretty much what I wanted because it was so bad, during the Patricia era. I was pleased to see that. The staff he brought along with him, I was really impressed with, especially Aaron Glenn. I am a big time Aaron Glenn guy.
Right.
Even with Anthony Lynn, I in the past, I may not have been the biggest Anthony Lynn fan, but I feel like he's also done a pretty good job of what we have available, so I have absolutely zero complaints about the coaching staff whatsoever. I want to see what they can do when we get, a little bit more talent, when we get a little bit more, a couple of more studs on this team. I want to see what they can put together because, like I said, they're buying into what Dan Campbell and the staff are selling.
All right. So offensive, so we got the coaches. Let's go just a couple positions, or not even positions, but position units. And also too for the Lions, we have to factor in the fact that it's a top team in terms of dead cap space. That there's other contributing factors when you start talking about building a program, building a team, building a roster. Hey, what's up, John? I want to welcome John in. Saying what's up to you and me, King.
What's going on?
So let's look at. We already talked about the QB position. Do you think there's enough depth there? That's one, because I know in here we already had one that mentioned why not go after Deshaun.
Well, I'm not going to that extreme. I have been one to say over the years, while we did have Matthew Stafford, I felt like we should have brought in the next young quarterback to raise up.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I've been definitely hollering about that. Like I said, as far as the depth we have at quarterback, I have absolutely zero faith in that whatsoever. What will they do as far as bringing in another quarterback, or if they decide to do that in this draft? That's still a question. But I always have been an avid believer in bring in your quarterback while you have that guy here. So Jared Goff, he's going to be here. He's going to be here. Bringing in a guy right now probably would not be a bad thing. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going anywhere extreme like Watson, but going out and drafting a guy in whatever round it is besides the first, I'm good with that.
Yeah, we won't get the Watson thing going, but I already see a couple people chatting already on that one. One saying no on Deshaun, one saying yeah. So we got a few people saying no, but I know that it's way too early to start getting into mixing up that unit. I think we're nowhere near having that piece or that conversation. But people always want to know. You're going to hear Tua, you're going to hear these different players who are available, or they may potentially be a fit for the Lions. I know what probably makes it look even that much more glaring when you start thinking about the backup in terms of experience. I think they'll look across at a team like Chicago, and you got a Dalton, and you got a Foles that are sitting there. And while they may have a three-headed monster over there, it still gives them the ability as a team to say we have options, we have some choices at a certain position, and not too much mileage. I mean, other than Dalton, I think you got some mileage there, but for the most part, I think they're okay. So when we look at the running back position, you're smiling. So there's got a reason for that smile, man. What's the smile on the running back position?
I love the running back room. Like I said, I always go back to what we experienced over the years. And I've always felt like one thing that Matthew Stafford never had the opportunity to have was a solid running back room. I'm loving it. I'm loving Williams and Swift together. The lightning and thunder is a beautiful thing. I am very pleased with the running back room. So, like I said, it's based off history. That's why I'm smiling so much. That's what the smile is about.
Yeah, because I know we hadn't had a lot of people were complaining. We had the passing game when Stafford was here. We didn't have a running game. We had Joyke Bell, we had Reggie Bush, we had a lot of people who came through, and it looked like at one moment we were going to do some things. Then all of a sudden you go over to last year, you had Swift come in, and all of a sudden he got injured, and it looked like that it was kind of one of those things that were just kind of up and down. So there have been opportunities to have a running game. Kerryon Johnson, it's like, so you've tried to put your running game together, but it's never kind of taken hold because it's been either run or pass with those guys. I see versatility between Williams and with Swift. And because of that I think gives them, in my opinion, a little bit more versatility in the background. It gives them a little bit more to work with. I know we also had, Swaggy and Swift. There it is. Appreciate that, Kings. But yeah, everybody's got those cool names, right? And we talk about the running game. We talk about those two being thunder and lightning and coming up and having that 1-2 duo punch. Would you have liked to seen them do more in Chicago? And then I'll come back because I want to ask you about the line and your thoughts on the line, and then I'll hit the receiver side. But you think they should have run the ball more, or do you think just the opportunity wasn't there?
Absolutely. I truly do believe, just based off of what Williams was getting out there,
right?
Wanted to see them, especially on some of those 3rd and 2 situations. At times we've seen them empty out the backfield. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Give Williams the ball. But yeah, absolutely go with Williams and Swift in that type of situation. I've been saying that for probably the last 3 games. I feel like we go away from the running game. We don't stick with it. I'm all for that. All for
top 10 offensive line? Yes or no?
Not ready to say that yet. Not yet.
Because they were billed as that. Coming into the season, everyone talked about the offensive line being really the strength of this football team. And right now, they've had some injuries. They've had some inconsistency at play. I think Penei Sewell has done some really good stuff, some good work as a rookie, being plugged into certain places. But I mean, at some point, again, they're going to come after. They think that everything's been thrown at this line. They haven't seen it yet. It's coming. It starts to heat up, as we know, as it gets a little bit more serious and people start making those runs for divisions and your conference, and you're trying to get into the playoffs. It gets a little bit different.
Yeah, that's exactly why I said not yet, especially just looking at the schedule. We got some real tasks coming up. Of course, we got to go up against Aaron Donald, too. So I'll be interested to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's, we got a few people think that this is still a top 10 offensive line. I believe when healthy, absolutely. I think they are. You look at Ragnow, he's out with turf toe. It's just, and he's a big part of that offensive line, right? Yeah. But again, this team is still competing. You get injuries, which every team's going to have. You get players who are coming back fighting from injury from the previous season. You get a new quarterback that's at the helm. You got receivers who are just trying to, other than Raymond, has really seemed to come on. You got Cephas, who was making some plays, but none that are sitting there again. It's almost like who's competing for that number 3, right? But where's your 1 and your 2?
Right.
And it's not a knock on these guys. I just think that they haven't had the experience, they haven't had the exposure, and this team isn't ready to anoint any of those guys in the receiver position, other than Hawkinson, as saying this is a legit guy that we're looking for. We're looking for these players. So the receiving unit, how you feeling? I mean,
like I said, I haven't seen enough consistency as far as that go-to guy on the receiving court. Like I said,
you think about Raymond.
Yeah, I was just about to say Khalifa Raymond. It was his first time having two touchdowns in the game. So it's yesterday he looked like a star. They couldn't do nothing.
He played with a lot of confidence, man. I give him that. He had some, he looked like, what I want the ball. I want the, come find me.
He brought it. And guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, I want to see more of. Just haven't seen enough consistency as far as the receiving core. That guy that is available is besides Cephas. Got a kind of a taste what Cephas was last season. So that's why the fan base was pretty good with Cephas from the beginning. But besides Cephas, Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I just haven't seen enough.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And then, so I'll go right over to the defense, and we're going to make the defense a little bit easier. So we're just going to go linebackers, and then we're going to go secondary. And we don't have to call out any people individually, but mine is, where's the biggest upgrade you think has to happen? Is it, because there's a lot of need here. So is it at the secondary? Is it the linebacking unit? Is it the defensive line? Where do you think that defense needs to start if they're going to have success?
Well,
in your opinion,
based off the defense we run in, I'm just going to say linebacker. I'm going with linebacker. And over the years, we had a couple opportunities to bring in some guys at linebacker that I feel like I wish we had right now, to be honest. Linebacker right now in the NFL on your defense is it's a must-have. It's a must-have. We dealing with some of the top tight ends, that I've ever seen in my football career.
Week in, week out, right? Week in, week out, man. It's somebody you got to account for.
Yes. Pass rusher is equally just important to me, to be honest. Like I said, when you got some guys coming off the edge and they're able to rush and get some pressure, it helps everybody. It helps everybody behind them. So, but yeah, it will definitely be linebacker for me. Like I said, our secondary, our safeties, they suffer a lot because they left out there on the island. We're not getting no pressure on a quarterback. So I've seen quarterbacks sit back there, and literally could pick their nose. So,
right.
Like I said, linebacker, defensive end, those are my spots.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would say that. And I know a few are chiming in and saying linebacker. Some are looking at safety. Typically, your safety and your linebackers are the ones who are making a lot of the calls. Those are typically a lot of the ones that are leading the unit in terms of where people get lined up. They're making some of the calls that are coming in, and your linemen are just your linemen. Those are guys you want to hold the front. You want them to reestablish that line of scrimmage and need to, take people back. We're looking at one, Forbidden Knowledge, saying we need a Nick Bosa type. I agree. You know, out of San Fran with Bosa, I mean, he's a beast. You have to have linebackers, I think, if you're going to go linebacker position, that can walk down on that end of the line of scrimmage and create problems. And they can be pass rushers, or they can go back and play coverage. So there's got to be some versatility there. And there's only a handful of guys around the league that really can do that and do that position well. You know, you look at a guy like Von Miller, he's going to walk out on that end. He's going to walk out on the line, but he's going to play across the board. You get Mack, who we saw, you know, where he can get back in coverage, or he can become that pass rusher, or he can come down and support inside the run and create some issues in there. When you find those type players, those are the impact makers. And I think they also set the tone. We talk about the quarterback on the offensive side, and sometimes it could be a running back, but typically it's your quarterback on the offensive side. But on the defensive side, you typically will see either a safety or a linebacker that are really setting the tone for that defense. And those are two positions that are like glaringly obvious, where we need to find a few more players who will emerge or step up or somehow elevate in that position to get this defense going.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you brought up safety. The nation has been after one particular player. His name is Will Harris. What do you think of his performance so far this season?
It's always hard, and I'm going to say this being on the other side of the ball, to understand when you're in a scheme and when you're in a position, does it help you and enhance your talent and your ability? Does it give a player the freedom to be able to exercise certain calls or knowledge or alignment? Or is it so rigid of a system, no matter how good or bad you are, you're kind of tied to it and you're tethered to that?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say that, because I don't know if we've seen anything get established that, like, what is the play supposed to be? They can't play man. When Okudah went down, that was the person they had kind of relied on to say, that's going to be our cover guy. If we need to find that top receiver, we need Jeff Okudah to step up. We need him to become that worthy third pick in the draft and be able to fall around those top players. And if we need to go man so we can bring a little bit more pressure, we can go man. Right. Since that hasn't occurred, I don't know, you know, you know what I mean? So it's like, has the play been there? No. Play's got to be better. It's just too much that's happening out there. But you can't be the one that's getting toasted and giving up big plays. You can't get lost in space. You can't be the one that's the last line of defense, and yet you're not controlling and patrolling that deep third. So it's about, where is his accountability? Right. Where does this team hold him accountable in the scheme? Without that, it's hard to say. So that's why I kind of spread it. I'm an equal opportunity kind of person here. When I start talking on the defensive side, like where they need to get better, where can they spread some of the blame? That's where it has happened. But if you're going to upgrade it, you know, you got to upgrade it with playmakers at this point, or at least those that have that long-term or intermediate ready to go potential.
Okay. Yeah, I just had to ask.
That's my answer of diplomacy.
Right. Yeah, because he been catching it. He been catching it.
I mean, rightfully so. I mean, think about it. It's no different than if you get beat, or if you get beat up in coverage. The tight ends have been killing. I get it. We're going against either Pro Bowl caliber or Pro Bowl potential tight end in the ones that we're facing. And even though we're doing that, doesn't mean that it's okay. And when your name's getting called, or you're the one that's showing up on film and having some problems, yeah, you're gonna. It's like me dropping a pass. It's like I can't say number 87 did it when I'm wearing 84.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But so this is I just appreciate, again, man. I know we've been on. I appreciate you jumping on. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add in, but we want to try and do more of these type shows. We want to start getting heavy in some of the content, some of the conversation. It doesn't always have to be all lions. I mean, I want us to come on sometimes, have fun, look for some engagement here. But with this particular one, with the more after the game show that I'm trying to create. It's just to have that dialogue with those who also have a different perspective than what I have as a player, different than what I have as a personnel who's become a fan, not only of just this team, but the sport, and being able to observe it on the outside so I can give insight. But it's reaching out to those like you who live and breathe it, that help me, kind of increase my knowledge of what it feels like to be on the other side of it. But having said that, man, really have appreciated all that you're doing. I know the nation appreciates you contributing your content and allowing us to have opportunity to share in that and also share that with the nation. And we appreciate you giving me the opportunity, man, to even come on your show and talk a little bit. So thank you for being part of the nation, being part of coming on and helping me with the show as well.
Oh man. Oh yes. the thanks definitely goes to you, especially for giving people like me a voice, and to create something like this for the fans. Once again, we just haven't had that over the years. So it's definitely a blessing to be able to come on here and share about the team that we love. So I do want to say one thing. Shout out to We Three Kings. That is my podcast channel. If you guys didn't know, I also talk sports talk on there. So shout out to you guys in the comments. And as far as what I have left in this segment, I just want to know, what is your prediction for the game next week?
There it is. You know what? You can only go so far, man, where you go, I want them just to compete. I want them to win.
Yeah.
We need them to win. I think it's just going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for them to walk away. Minnesota, think of it like this. Minnesota is not going to step down. They're third in the division. They're just slightly above the Lions. But I think when you look at Green Bay and Minnesota, I think are going to be the ones competing for the NFC North.
Yeah.
The Lions and the Bears, I think they got some work to be done. Yeah. The Lions should have beat the Bears. But Minnesota on the road, I think that's going to be tough for this team. I played there, not in that particular stadium, but I played in the environment of those fans. And this team, I think, is ready for it. But when you're in the division, man, it's a whole different type thing. Doesn't matter what that team's record is like. And they have players. They got some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They have some defensive players that are going to come after the quarterback and that can get to the running backs. And their secondaries playing better than ours. So I think it's going to be a tough road for them. I really do.
Same here. Absolute same here.
But yeah, I appreciate it, man. And, thank you again for everything. I want to thank everybody for joining us for this segment of More After the Game, and also being a part of the Lions Nation, man. If you haven't had an opportunity to do it so far, I ask that they go and tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your fans, tell other fans about it. Go down and download the Lions Nation Unite app. And also you can go to lionsnationunite.com if you want to learn more information about what we're trying to do over there. But it's a place where we're aggregating all of the content that's any and everything about the Lions, and we're looking to grow that community. And I want to thank you, King, man, for being a part of that, and also telling your followers and those about doing that. And with that, man, I say, hope you have a great week, and I'm sure we'll chop it up again.
All right. Be blessed. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. Thanks, everybody.